Audi TT Mk1, how to remove the front bumper.
Hi all, welcome back to the channel on a sunny day where we're going to be covering today the removal of the front bumper from my Audi TT convertible. If you've not already done so, please think about liking and subscribing today to get future content. So there are a variety of reasons to remove the front bumper. My reason for removing the front bumper is to identify where a small coolant leak is coming from somewhere around the radiator. I'm going to identify here a list of the parts and tools required for the job.
I rate this 2 out of 5 for difficulty.
So step one, let's get it on axle stands and take a look at removing the front wheels.
How and where to jack the car and secure on axle stands I cover in another video, and I will leave a link to it here. Remember to loosen the wheel nuts before jacking the car. Take the wheel nuts and wheels and put them to one side. The reason you have to remove the front wheels is so that you can access the wheel arch lining behind each wheel that covers the nuts that hold the front bumper in place. There are 12 Torx T25 screws in each wheel arch, and I number these 1 to 12. Top tip here is to take a piece of card and write on it passenger wheel well, and write 1 to 12 on it also. Then unscrew each Torx screw and push it through the card as you remove it. This has a twofold purpose. 1, you don't lose the screws, and 2, you know exactly which hole each screw came from. Some can be stubborn when putting them in the wrong hole, so this stops that. Underneath the front of the wheel arch are 2 further Torx T25 screws holding the bottom valance cover in place. I had a snag here as someone had replaced one of my T25 screws with a Phillips head screw. You need to be ready for these types of previous bodges on old cars. I've numbered these on the card 13 and 14. With all screws removed, it should just be a case of wriggling the lining out of the wheel arch and revealing the bumper bolts that hold the bumper on, and the intercooler should now be visible. Put the lining to one side and then remove the final T25 Torx screw from the bracket inside the bumper housing at the front of the wheel arch shown here. Repeat the same process for the driver's wheel arch. Either side of the bumper are 2 10mm nuts holding it in place. One is more easily accessible than the other. The easy one is at the top, and the more difficult one nestled behind the intercooler mount, but both can be reached with a socket extension and a 10mm socket. On some models you may have a rubber pipe within the passenger side of the bumper. This is the washer fluid pipe for the headlights, and to my surprise mine had a red rubber bung in the end, so no water is getting to my headlights as it is disconnected. More on that later, but you may want to disconnect this pipe when removing so you do not lose your washer fluid when you remove the bumper. Moving under the bottom of the bumper, there are 2 Phillips screws holding the base mount to the car. Remove these before continuing. You will notice my engine under tray is already removed to access these, and I cover how to do this in my engine oil and filter change video linked above. The last fixings to remove are the screws holding the top of the bumper in place, and these are accessible by opening the bonnet and removing the plastic trim panel covering these. To remove the plastic bolts holding the trim in place, lift the centre pins out of the screws with a small screwdriver and the fitting should pop out. There are 6 fixings in total to remove, and once free, the plastic trim should just lift away, revealing the 6 T30 Torx screws holding the top of the bumper in place. Using another of my screw saver cards, and this time with a diagram showing the shape of the bumper and which side is which, I unscrew the 6 T30 Torx screws and store them in the card. Once all are unscrewed, simply lift the metal reinforcement bar from the top of the bumper and store. The bumper is quite safe to leave unattended as it is still clipped and slotted into place. To remove the bumper from the car, start on the driver's side and pull the bottom part of the bumper away from the car to unclip it from the mounts. Repeat the process on the passenger side and then return to the front of the car. Supporting the weight of the bumper from the top, give it a gentle up and down wiggle and it should come away quite easily. With the bumper off, it becomes obvious that someone has put a bung in that headlight washer tube for a reason. The pipe linking the 2 headlights is joined by a T-piece and it's been completely destroyed. They are no longer attached, so I think someone has broken the T-piece and the fluid has been running out, so they've bodged it with the red bung and have been living without the headlight washers. That part is about £10, so it's a cheap fix to get that working again. That will come in a future video. The main reason I took the bumper off was to find the source of the coolant leak, and it's fairly obvious it's the AC condenser. That is the thinner radiator in front of the main radiator shown here. That is about a £50 part to buy, but I need to have the AC system degassed by a garage before I can do that. So I will reassemble the bumper now that I know what is needed and arrange for that to be done. Refitting the bumper is simply a complete reverse of the removal process, so it's a fairly simple job if you follow my steps and suggestions. So I would score this a possible 2 out of 5 on the difficulty scale. I would say it is well worth knowing how to do this, as you would need to remove the bumper if you needed to replace a radiator, an intercooler, the AC condenser or the headlight washer assembly.
So that's the removal and the refitting of the front bumper, and I hope you found that useful today. As suspected, the AC condenser is damaged, that's why it was wet on the front. I am going to cover that repair in a future video as well, but I need the assistance of a garage to allow me to get the condenser degassed before I work on it. One thing I wasn't expecting to find was this pipe broken off and the front headlight washers aren't working. It's obviously been a bad repair in the past. Someone's just bunged the hole up, so not overly impressed, but it's a cheap fix, so I'm going to do that in another video. Thanks again for watching today. I hope you found it useful. If you have, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to like and subscribe for future content, and see you soon. Take care.